Hello, Aries. How's everybody doing today? I hope you're well. I can't wait to get into the November forecast. I can't believe we're already looking a month ahead here, and we're in the last quarter of the year. I think this is exciting, and 2020 has been a crazy year. So we have some beautiful messages that are coming through for you today that will hopefully help you navigate all the opportunities and all the challenges ahead. If you're brand new, let me introduce myself first. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. This little resplendent creature is my dog, Apollo. He likes to show up at the beginning sometimes. What we'll be looking at this month, and today rather, is the November reading. And the way that I structure this is that you can watch it for your sun, your rising, your moon. If you're thanks, Apollo. If you're skilled with with astrology, you can also watch for Venus or other aspects of your chart. But for those of you that just like to watch for your birth sign, you'll get everything that you need just by doing that. Let me talk a little bit about how it's structured, and then we'll get into the meat of the reading here in just a second. There are four major parts to the way that I organize this. I like to begin the reading with channeled messages, just a little peek. I show up here early and basically channel everything that I've been receiving in visions, in dreams, and in meditation. And I use automatic writing as a vehicle to bring all of that to you. And I write these note cards so that I can remember it as I go through that. So a psychic download at the beginning. It's interesting, a lot of times in the comments, people will say, the actual reading begins here. And no, the reading begins when I start talking about the cards, because that's me plus my spirit guides talking to you. Then the next piece of that will be the Celtic Cross, and we'll take a look then a little bit more granular detail at opportunities and challenges, as I said, and how to navigate it. I'm a big proponent of free will, and I believe that I'm here to kind of give you a blueprint and some opportunities, and it's up to you to decide how and where you want to go. Then I expand that looking at health, wealth, love, and destiny. This gives us a chance to just really let the center spread be whatever it needs to be, whether it's focused on career, love, romance, or a hodgepodge of all of that, so be it. As I expand the forecast, I look at health, wealth, love, and destiny to make sure that we do hit on those main areas that I know I would be interested in, and I have found over the past few years that all of you are interested in. After this, we'll do a quick review, and then I like to delve a little bit deeper into a few of the issues that pop up, either opportunities or things that look like they're on a deeper soul level. So appropriately enough, I call that the soul path. And during the soul path, we'll usually look at a past, present, and future opportunity or influence in one of those areas. It's basically digging a little deeper. Plus, if there's something that I just want more information in, on that part of the reading, I'll go deeper into that. And after we do this, then we'll integrate everything together with a meditation and a sound bath. Basically me playing a singing bowl to bring a little bit of healing, a little bit of peace after everything that we've worked on. It's a nice way to seal everything off. I used to be a yoga teacher. I used to do Kundalini yoga a lot when we could still go out and be in public spaces, and gong baths or sound baths at the end were always a great way to close it. And that's why I incorporate it as a part of my readings. So that's what we're going to do today. And I would like to welcome my moderators. Maria is here. Ryan should be joining us shortly. Be kind to them. They're here to assist if there's any high-level questions, and they can kind of help you find something on my website or just kind of validate what I'm talking about. So with that being said, one last thing I'd like to talk about is I see I've had a couple of folks be kind enough to show super stickers. If you'd like to support the channel, super stickers are a great way to do that. There's just this little icon next to the emojis, and you can send an emoji like a unicorn, a rainbow, or just say something positive. And that helps me continue to buy new cards. I'll actually be using the fountain deck today, which is something that I bought a few months ago with some of the support of all of you from that. Also, channel membership, everyone here that has green text, I just want to say thank you. Those folks give back on a continual basis to help make this a great channel. And of course, my patrons from Patreon. One last thing, I don't answer questions directly here. That's something that differentiates me from other readers, because I start to channel and I find it distracting to have to come out of the channel and answer questions. So I do have specific, in about a month, actually, I'm going to do something where I take Q&A things from you, questions from you, where I'll usually answer them from people that are Patreon patrons or YouTube members, and then I'll open up a few in a general forum, like from Twitter or something else. And that's how I kind of do Q&A, but not so much in one of these readings. All right, let's get started. The first channeled message for you this morning is about well-being. As we look at the month of November and this last quarter of the year, because a lot of us are watching this in October, health and well-being was really playing prominently in my meditation, specifically the heart space. So that the chakra itself, the heart chakra, and then also the organ, the heart, was the first thing that my third eye was drawn to. For some of you, this is going to be simply a chance to heal old karmic wounds that you have between you and people that you love. But it could also just be an opening where there's increased sensitivity. And as we look at November, we'll be coming out of a retrograde. If you're watching it in October, you're going to be going through the retrograde. And so retrograde is a natural time to release. And so for some of us, that's going to come through in a way like in dreams and in thoughts. So you may be trying to get work done and you just are thinking about an old friendship or an old love or something that's been bothering you because you didn't get a chance to finish it. So it doesn't matter because the retrograde spans both months. So whenever you're feeling like you want to attend to that, this is a really good time. November will get us out of retrograde though. So as we're looking really anywhere past the 4th or 5th, you're pretty much in a good zone. And definitely by the second week, things are going to start to feel better. So I want you to set up time to create some new patterns in your life. And this could be a better exercise routine, eating better. And one way to look at this is sort of like input output. And it's a very sort of computer sort of thing. But in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, there was a term called garbage in, garbage out. So if you put garbage into like computer code, you're not going to get anything valuable. If you put sort of things that are not very high quality into your body or into your energetic field, the same thing happens. It diminishes or reduces your capacity to shine, and I want you to shine brighter. So instead of putting garbage in, put blessings and positive energy in. This quote unquote, this input output, it's everything. It's not just the food that we eat. It's not just the things that we're putting on ourselves or smelling or drinking or whatever. It's also what we're listening to and what we're watching. So try to clear that out as well, removing any toxicity or negativity. So let me just review what we've talked about so far, health and well-being. It's a reset period for you. The heart in particular has been coming through as something to focus on. It could be healing wounds. It could be opening this space up. It could also be about exercising or eating better. For any of you with a history of heart disease, high blood pressure, hypertension, etc., it's especially important that you check in with a doctor and just be kind to yourself during this period. Input output, of course, meaning not just food and drink, but also what's around us and what we're listening to and who we're hanging out with. That's something that we're actually also putting into our energy system. Break and make cycles. And again, with retrograde touching both October and November, this is the perfect time to do it. It's one of the things that you can do well during a retrograde. And I like to focus on things that free us rather than hold us back. Why am I focusing so much on it? Because it's setting you up for some opportunities that are going to be coming through at the end of this year and the beginning of next. You want to get your body and your mind in a really strong place so that you can embrace these opportunities. If you're kind of like on shaky ground, then you won't be able to sustain the new energy. We are vehicles, we are channels where things come through. And if our channel's cloudy, or if you think of like a house of cards where there's no foundation, it just takes one little thing and the whole house of cards falls down. So I wanted you to build a really strong foundation so that you can weather any storm, and more importantly, so that you can embrace the opportunities. Think of 10 of Wands. You need to be able to like stand up tall and hold that sort of like all the energy and opportunity that's around you so that you can move down the road to the next thing. There we go, basically. I'm just trying to help you with what's on the horizon. Okay. Focusing now on what's coming through as a potential opportunity or challenge. So one thing that I was seeing for you is that there could be something that's coming through that looks like it's an opportunity, but you could be put in the hot seat. And that's just a phrase for kind of like being put on the spot. You might have to answer some difficult questions. So this could be an invitation to a party where you think it's going to be fun, but then you actually end up having a really heated discussion with someone. You could be at work and you're invited to talk at a meeting about something where you're being sort of billed as an expert, but all of a sudden people are asking you difficult questions, probably because of their own frustration. What I saw was that you're going to be able to exude grace under pressure or under fire. And by doing this, you're just not going to take the bait or start to sweat or start to get upset. What you could look at is if you're put into this spotlight, it's a spotlight. It's a chance for you to shine and for you to help. So if people are asking these questions, what you want to do first and foremost is to empathize with them and say, yeah, I understand what's going on. Let's try to understand this. Let's get an action plan together. And maybe what you can do is, I said here, empathize, organize, and revisit. And if you're getting asked these tough questions, what you want to do, first of all, is keep your cool, stay calm, and ask for time or clarification. This is one of the best techniques you can use. So you could say, wow, this is a really good question. I would like some time to get the answer for you. I don't have it yet, but I would love for you to help me out. You seem really passionate about this. Can I count on you as a champion to work with me? All of a sudden, this person's like, darn it, I wish I hadn't talked. And now you can turn someone that could be attacking you into an ally. And then the other thing that you want to do is ask why you're just hearing about it now. Say, wow, this is great. It surprises me that this is the first I've heard about it. It seems like a lot of you are passionate about it. Let's work together. Let's talk more frequently. And I can't remember which sign. It was within the past 3 or 4 months that I said this, but frequent conversation and like speaking up frequently is important. You can't deal with it all at once. So you could say, thank you for bringing it to my attention in the future. The sooner you do it, the better I can help you, but I'm still here for you. And now I would like you to help me as well. So I think that those sort of techniques will help. Asking for time, asking for clarification. What you don't want to do is to take bait or to fan the flames and start to get into a defensive mode like the 7 of Wands or judgment reverse where it's only one way to do it. You want to stay open-minded and listen and accept it. And then again, one of the things that my guides are showing me is tap that person to help you or to follow up and say, you know what? Sounds like you have a lot of great insight. Let's break out after this meeting and talk about it and I'll listen to you. And then you've tabled it for later. If it's in your own family, like if it's not in an office, because we're not in offices anymore, let's face it. If you have a difficult conversation with a family member, the same thing holds true. It's sort of like, I think we need some rest, or I'd like to talk to you after I have something to eat. Why don't we revisit it this afternoon and I'll see what I can get information wise about this or whatever. You can always ask for time. You can always push back a little bit. You can always ask them what they think. Let them talk if they need to talk. What you don't want to do, though, is argue with them or have too much time and energy spent where this is just kind of drifting and they're complaining. So there needs to be something organized about it, and there needs to be an action plan. Otherwise, it's just complaining. But I saw some sort of a turning of the tables, basically, where if you're going to be invited to something, whether it's a party or a meeting, virtual or actual, just get the specifics, find out who your audience is, and definitely be prepared. And if there's anything that you think you might have to talk about but don't want to, then be prepared for that to happen, because it probably is going to come through. And this is what retrograde periods bring. Again, we're coming out of it in November, but if you're watching it in October, especially around the middle part, this is where stuff like this has to be fixed. On the flip side, and the way to be proactive and to avoid this altogether, which is why you show up to these readings, is just to fix a problem before it gets brought up in a larger forum. So be proactive, be communicative. And then if you've got nothing to hide, then you've got nothing to worry about when something like that comes out. You can say, by the way, yeah, actually, we already have something underway. I'm glad you brought it up. Here's what's going on. And then you look like you're cool, calm, collected, and in control. So don't wait for something to be fixed. Fix it yourself. Be proactive about all repairs, whether it's a car or something in your finances or something else that's out there that just needs to be brought to the light, because it will find its way to the main spotlight. So I want you to be ahead of that. The next piece of information was oddly specific. And so there may just be a few of you where this makes sense, but I think for all of us, there's a little kernel that we can take from this. If there's any gifts that are coming through this month, make sure that they are basically given without any strings or conditions. So if it's a friend or a loved one that's giving you something, there shouldn't be some sort of condition attached to that. Like, now that you do this, now that you receive this, I expect something in return. If you are working for somebody and like a client or a vendor or a coworker gives you something, check your handbook to see if that's acceptable. A lot of times there's a dollar amount that's allowed, and sometimes you just have to outright not accept it. So if it's awkward or against policy, or you just don't want to do it, say no, but thanks for thinking of me. And that's much better than accepting something and then having those strings attached or that feeling of awkwardness. And basically another way to look at this is, if we look at it from the sort of viewpoint of manifesting and also just what you want to do with the law of attraction. If you are in a place right now where you wish you had a little bit more, you're working really hard, you feel like finances aren't where you want them to be, one little trick that you can use to bring in abundance, but it can't sort of be too calculated, just sort of like know that it works and then do it because you're feeling good about doing it. If there's old stuff around your house that you don't need anymore, but someone else needs, and you're ready to kind of clear the energy of the space a little bit, give that away. When you give something without any strings, it can't be for the express purpose of receiving, but just know that the act of giving actually helps you receive. What it's doing to the universe is showing, hey, I've got more than enough. And I can give this up and I'm ready to receive more. It basically takes you out of the Four of Pentacles mentality where you're holding on to things that you don't need. So one thing that you can practice this month is releasing the old clutter in your energy, in your friendships, all around, letting go, knowing that that's going to open up breathing room so that you can create new things. And if a relationship falls away because of something like this, it was meant to fall away. Something better will replace it. So just a little tip there. This next one was also really specific, but very appropriate and timely for what many of us are going through right now. If you've been in lockdown, working offsite, or have kind of changed the way you've worked to protect yourself during this pandemic, and now you're in a country or a city or a space where there's a gradual reopening, when you get back into the office or into that space, it could be school too, you may find that you don't like it as much as you used to, or that it doesn't feel like it used to, the sort of thrill is gone. That's because you've changed, but the environment has kind of stayed the same. And what you've received by having this time off, it's like a sabbatical. You have context now to understand, it's maybe always been this way, but I was so busy or so connected with the people around me that offset the things that I needed to pay attention to. So you have a choice now to either change the environment, change like the policies and the energy and the people and the thoughts around you, or just move on. Vacation, sabbatical, time off, sick leave, a lot of times it is that catalyst that we require to make a change that we knew we needed to make maybe 2 or 3 years ago. So if you go back to something and it doesn't feel good anymore, it's not that you're picky or that it's just the world right now, it's that you've changed and now you're being pushed or at least given an opportunity to try something else. It doesn't have to happen now. It could happen next year or the year after, but it might be the beginning of a new journey for you. And my experience a lot of times with big structures, be it government, school, hospitals, corporations, they don't change very quickly, do they? And so if you are significantly dissatisfied with something like that, then it might be time to just go ahead and say, you know what, this is the nudge that I needed to move up, to move on, to move out, and I'm going to take that. The last thing that I saw made me laugh. My guides were showing me kind of like hit the snooze button, and then I saw an important meeting happening. So the first piece, there's really no there's no time to hit the snooze button right now. It feels like there's a lot to be done. And we only have now, 2 to 3 months to finish it all up, depending on when you're watching this reading. So take a review of what you were either putting into your New Year's plan or your birthday plan, because I honestly, sometimes I think it's more effective to put your resolutions into your sort of solar return. Whatever you're kind of looking at, where are you standing with those goals? What have you been procrastinating on? Whatever it is, this is the time now to take action. We've been waiting for things to go back to normal, but this is the norm for now, and it may be for a while. So let's just accept that the lack of organization, the lack of predictability, the ambiguity that has become 2020 and probably will spill into some of 2021, this is normal for a while. So rather than waiting and waxing poetically for, the old to come in, let's start to just move with the new energy. We always kind of romanticize the past. It's easier to sometimes, there's an old song, The Way We Were, and I think it's from a movie titled the same thing, but it's the same thing where we kind of you paint in the pretty parts and you let the rest fade into the background. So really remember that this is the most important time. These are the best days of your life because you're living them right now and you're alive. The world is in a little bit of a mess, but we can always affect change, and we can really move into that change in an exciting way. So the hands of time move forward, they don't move backward. And right now you're being pushed to try new things and to change. As a sort of subset of what I was just talking about, I was trying to pull a visual in our recent history, and it really is like World War II. It's not the most recent history, but there was a significant change in the way that we worked and the way that we lived then. And in particular, it was a great time for women because they were able to enter the workforce. When the war ended, women wanted to stay in the workforce, which is a good thing. And this is a great example of, like, some of us now are realizing we wasted time in offices, myself included, because there is bureaucracy. Like, I'm exaggerating, but not really. Sometimes you needed 3 signatures to get a stapler. You had to send it through a system like SAP, and then all these people had to approve it. It's like, I just need a stapler. Why am I going through this? Or I worked at a company once where I had to put in a ticket to resign. I'm not joking you. I had to put in a ticket into a help system and then get help from another country to process my resignation. So that to me was the height of ridiculousness. So what we're seeing now is that the system was broken. We figured out new and more effective ways to work, just like we did in World War II. And now we're also seeing maybe a chance to have more equality because we don't get to see everybody, and we're just looking at work product. So the people that are truly working hard, they're going to rise to the top. So changes are happening. They're not all bad. Work with the change, embrace it. And if you're feeling different, it's because the world is changing, and it's not going to go completely back to where it was in I guess we have to trace it back to before the pandemic began. So 2019, like this point of last year almost. So times are changing. We're changing. Change is good. Let's be the butterfly. Let's not try to go back to be the caterpillar. Okay. There's a new contract that some of you are going to be signing. I saw it in my meditation. You need to be at the negotiation for this. So whether you're buying a house, trying to get a new job, trying to negotiate to get a raise, or you need to talk to someone in your life about what's working or not working, a friendship, a roommate situation, or a love interest, you have to sit at the negotiation table and run it a little bit. This is where this, for some of you, could be the hot seat moment where you're going to just take the reins, maybe. It could cut either way, because some really cool stuff could come out of that. I saw a great opportunity, but you don't want other people negotiating on your behalf. And if they are, something needs to change. So this is really a chance for you to step up, to shine, and to be seen. So let's get into the reading. Those are the high points. Don't worry, I will, at the midpoint of the reading, I'll pull each and every card up and we'll review it. I like to just kind of talk off the top of my head as I'm seeing these cards here. So you'll get a chance to see anything if you missed it. Before I get into the Celtic Cross, again, a reminder for anyone that's new, I don't do Q&A. I'm going to remain quiet as I lay the cards out so that I can pay attention to what they are, what messages are coming through, and give you the best information possible. So at this point, the reading's getting started here. Like I said, it already started, but this is the Celtic Cross portion that I know a lot of you like. And welcome. Again, Sun, Rising, Moon for Aries in the month of November. And if you missed the channeled messages, which are part of the reading, we will review it after I do the Celtic Cross. We have a volunteer for the center. Thanks again for all your support. This is a deck that you helped me purchase. All right, everybody, thank you so much for being patient. Let's take a look at the messages for this month here. We have in your catalyst position, winter, take care of your needs. And this card really harkens to instinct to me, but also to a period of, for some of you, dormancy or change. I want to talk about this a little bit. First of all, the catalyst, how it functions. For me, this is a way to stay in the highest possible energy of the month, not to fall into any of the pitfalls or to have anything kind of come through that knocks you off of your momentum. So when I see winter, for me, again, it's a period where sometimes we're pausing and storing up energy and opportunity and getting ready for another burst of growth. It doesn't mean a full stop. It isn't an end. It's sort of this plateau. And I believe that while you're in this sort of plateau in November, for instance, what you want to be doing is just building up energy and really getting that foundation that we talked about in a really good space, so that when spring comes, you can push through and really take advantage of that. So this seems to be very much connected to this. Plus, for those of us in North America, this makes sense. So whether it's winter or spring, you're at one end or the other with this, just know that I see opportunity coming through. The timing, it's kind of when you're ready and once you've kind of gotten everything prepared. But the other thing here is take care of your needs. This is, for many of you, what I was talking about with the heart space, making sure that you're healthy, that you're happy, and that you can weather any storm. Okay, so the instinct side of this reminds me of what I would see on the moon card. And this is also kind of saying, hey, you know what you need to take care of. Are you doing it? And if you're not, what's causing the delay? What's causing that pause? It's still going to come through, just like, you know, the bulbs, the crocus does in the spring. So you might as well deal with it before it shows itself. So there's an instinctual side here in the moon energy that's saying, deal with it now. Now is better than later. We have a sort of soul-searching card at the center. Let me pull it upright so you can see it a little bit better. So we have the Seven of Cups here. And as you can see, the Seven of Cups is always a card of opportunity. When the card is reversed and daydreaming and ideation, I love the card, but this is basically saying it's time to make a decision, time to empty out some of the clutter and land on one thing. So as you step into the month of November, you're really being encouraged at that point to think to yourself, what is it that I truly find myself drawn to do? What is holding me back from doing that? And if I need any sort of information or research, this is saying right here, right now is the time to get that research. Because the sooner you are clear on something, the sooner others will be clear, confident, and supportive of what you're doing as well. If you're unsure, if you can't quite describe or explain why you're doing something, trust that eventually somebody is going to ask you a question. So this is where, again, you should do the research, you should feel good. And if you're not sure and you're not ready, then it's either not the right time or you haven't done enough research. So it's now time to stop thinking about the possibilities, start to get a little bit more clarity and feel good about it so that you can release it. And so that when people read what you're trying to give to them, they're like, do I trust you? Do you trust you? And if you trust yourself, then they're going to trust you and they're going to engage in whatever it is you're trying to do. We have the Page of Cups on this, which is basically showing your passion is one of the most effective ways to get that buy-in that I'm talking about. It's also really portending good things for relationships. So I only focus on relationship energy if it comes through, and it is coming through. But we've got to look at these two cards because there's a message here. Do you know what you're looking for? Because if you don't, you're going to be attracting basically anything that is coming your way. So this is the difference between really being clear and picky and discerning and understanding of what it is that you want and maybe having to wait a little bit, or kind of like you're in Las Vegas and you're just pulling the lever and thinking, am I going to get like lucky sevens or nothing, or what's going on? So don't be pulling the lever, because the cosmic lever is a weird thing to do when it comes to relationships. You could get something great. You could get something that's not so great. It's going to be a lot more powerful for you to really be clear, focused, and attracting what's best. Know yourself. Know what you're looking for, know your path. If you know those things, you're going to meet people in synchronistic sort of situations that will support and enhance all of that. So if you're soul searching, then you're going to find people that will teach you rather than partner with you. And so it's much stronger to have a partner than a teacher in a relationship, because it sounds cool to have a teacher, but not if they're teaching difficult lessons. Okay, so learn the lessons so that when you partner up, it's just more fun and supportive and that kind of thing. Okay. As we look at your deep past, don't give up. And by the way, good for you for trying so hard to get where you're at right now. 9 of Wands is the quintessential survivor card. It's showing great work that's been done. It's also encouraging you to take a moment to take a look at all of that. Sometimes we don't see it until we're through it. And I guess one of my pieces of advice for you this month is take a break, take stock of what you're working on, celebrate, and think, you know what, I may not be done, but if this is all the problem that I have, that I'm 90% the way to this journey, then that's not a bad thing. The other thing is, for those of you that have been like having one problem after another, because we are in a retrograde period, this has been 2020, it's difficult to get in touch with people, everything is a little bit more difficult. Don't give up. This is saying you've got this. You are so far down the path that, and you can handle a lot. You're a survivor. You don't give up. So I want you to continue, because we actually see a little bit of a lessening of the load here. The 8 of Wands is a great card for having more than enough. It's really good for businesses because it shows return business. And in life in general, we actually see a lightening of the load between the 9 and the 8 of Wands. Notice also how, if I pull this in the upright position, this actually forms a point on the horizon, right? This is almost like train tracks. And we see the perspective here, and there's a point, looks like the sun coming out of it. I love it. So with this 8 of Pentacles, this is why I'm showing, like, if you can get from the 7 of Cups to focal point, understanding, clarity, this is how you become successful. People need to know who you are, what you're trying to do, and you need to know that too. And if you can embrace those two things, you're going to be virtually unstoppable. So I see November lining up so far to be a really good month. It can be busy. There could be a new opportunity on the horizon that could portend really good things. That could be a very supportive and great path for you, but it's going to involve some changes. So, and some decisions on your part. One of the key things that I think you're looking at in the crowning position here, we have the 9 of Pentacles. 9 of Pentacles is independence, wealth, abundance, self-sufficiency, and a feeling of like, I can do this. So it's actually like the foil to the 4 of Pentacles, which is, I'm afraid, am I enough? Will I be okay? So let me ask you kind of like more in a rhetorical sense, but it's your homework too. Do you feel this way about yourself? Do you feel like I'm ready and I'm worth it? Like I'm ready for any opportunity that comes my way. I'm worth all the love and abundance that also the universe wants to throw at me. And I'm not going to limit it through fear, through uncertainty, through past experiences. Why? Because I'm done with that. I'm a survivor. I've worked through those karmic lessons. That's where your heart's healing, like we talked about earlier. If you are, then if you're ready for this, then good things will open up. There's a little hesitation with the 9 of Pentacles because it's reversed. So I want you to get past the hesitation. Otherwise, when we were talking about that negotiation table, contract, whatever it is, you're going to have less power and less ability to make it happen and get more abundance. So I don't want you to underestimate your power. With the 9 of Pentacles in reverse, the other thing that I'm looking at for you is this feeling of, if you do need assistance in your life, don't be afraid to ask for help, because you've already got that independence. Sorry, Apollo's sleeping and barking in the background. But yes, if you are someone who is fiercely independent and built a sort of a nest egg and everything, and you're afraid now because maybe there's something where you need help, it doesn't make you weak. Whatever this is that you need help with, whether it's health or finances or just general advice, you're still strong. In fact, the fact that you're willing to ask for help and seek out the answers is a sign of strength of character, and it's going to set you up for a firm foundation. So needing help doesn't make you weak. Not asking for it, that might. So this is a chance for you to seek out the right kind of assistance. Use your discernment to make sure that you're not giving up anything that you don't want to. And I think you'll be fine. Because in the near future, we have the Queen of Wands, and she is one of the best possible cards that you can get to organize, to analyze. I never noticed it before because these are very sort of pastel cards, but we actually see the sunflower almost as a nimbus or a halo behind her. And I like that she's kind of dancing between these energetic fields, because this is kind of more what you're truly doing in the Queen of Wands energy. You're kind of, it's almost like you're playing, what is it, a harp? You're kind of touching these energetic strings and getting everything in order. So imagine this month that everybody that you work with, are they harmonious as you're kind of touching those strings of energy, or is there discord as you're doing that? If there is, I want you to look at that and maybe cut that cord. So this is a really, that's what we're going to do in the meditation today. Thank you, Queen of Wands, for giving us that, that energy. So we're going to look at, do I feel harmony, or is there discord? Can I tune this relationship, or do I need to just put something else here? Do we need a better chord? So you always have that ability, and that's a beautiful metaphor. Thank you, Queen of Wands, and thank you, guides, for chord cutting. I've never thought of it in that way, and it's nice. So that's what we're going to do this month. The Queen of Wands is basically saying you can handle anything that's coming your way. She's upright, thank goodness. She's usually reversed. She has been for most of 2020 for most signs. So just trust yourself and be in control. You've earned it, and I want you at that that negotiation table. You should be there fighting for yourself and fighting for your worth. Page of Swords, contracts, communication, clarity. Pages are delivering and receiving. He's upright. That's a good thing. So what I see here is that, again, imagining that you see his sword is going right over his third eye. Clarity of thought will cut through anything. You can also see through things. The more clairvoyant you get, and you will if you keep meditating, keep reading, pretty soon you get a good filter for malarkey, BS. You can see through it. You'll feel it in your body, or maybe you'll go to sleep that night and you have a dream and you see exactly the way it is. So I feel like this month you can cut through the nonsense and you can start to really use your energy in a powerful way that might surprise people. Your voice is strong this month. This is in your ego. It's upright, so it's not negative. It's just direct enough. I actually like pages because of all of the court cards in swords. They're the softest. As we start to get up to the queen or the king, and especially if they're reversed, they can be a little bit too heavy. The knight can be a little bit sometimes acting too soon, speaking before he thinks. But the page is just right, and especially when it's upright. So I feel like you've got really good communication ability at your disposal this month. So lean into that and embrace it. And remember, it's the clarity of what you feel and what you see that will allow you to project and also cut through any of the nonsense that's in front of you. All right, we're looking at a great card here for the environment. We have the Two of Cups, which is a nice marriage to the Page of Cups. So guess what? It's a good month to focus on relationships if you'd like to. And as we look at who that might be, we actually have the Queen of Wands squarely between this. So for some of you, you're pulling in a really strong kind of fiery energy, someone who may not have the same communication skills that you have, because it seems like you're a little bit more communicative this month, but they're very demonstrative and a great leader and a great person to have in your corner. Based on what I see, I like it. So the only thing that is kind of coming through for those of you looking for a relationship this month, if you're single and looking, the Nine of Pentacles can get in the way because it's an independence card. It's kind of like, I can do this on my own. Why do I need you? Do I need you? So decide if you're looking for love or not. If you're in a relationship, the same holds true. What's going on between like leadership and communication? One person might be making decisions without checking into the other person's mental sort of like, do you buy into this? Do you agree? So open communication is super important this month. Don't act before speaking. If you're single and happy, well, I love that we have the negotiation card, the Queen of Wands, and the Two of Cup cards, which is basically partnership. You can bring in good partnerships this month. You can make great decisions. You have attractive energy. So no matter how you slice or dice it, I like what I'm seeing here with relationships. Page of Cups at the center, just showing that openness and that ability. Again, we have a couple of pages here. Page of Cups, Page of Swords. So I feel like things are in a good place this month for emotional growth and healing. Focusing on opportunities. for some of you, fears, it is about balance. The way that I see the Two of Pentacles is that it's not always about money, because we actually see an auspicious card, the Nine of Pentacles at the crowning position. I see the Two of Coins often as a need to find balance in other aspects of your life. For some of you, health may be on the back burner. For some of you, money isn't where you want it to be. Maybe it was success. You've had success, but you just want to have a better handle on it, or you want more money, whatever it is. It's about going after that which you seek. And we see this as a hand reaching up from this sort of like pool here, or this or the sea. So it feels like there's a goal that you need this month to achieve. Better balance in relationships, in money, maybe just in general health. Whatever it is, it's within reach. It's right there, actually. And you just have to sort of decide, what am I willing to push to the side? What do I need to let go of? When we do the cord cutting meditation at the end, we'll kind of tune into all the strings and see which cords need to be cut, which ones are actually benefiting you. Find balance this month. That's basically what that's saying. We have the Wheel of Fortune. Love this card and love that it's in your outcome. Much like your all of your money cards or your resources cards are reversed. Not all of the other ones are. So this is something to pay attention to. So we have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. So to me, this is a beginning of a new cycle. And there's just a question here of why maybe you're not ready, or when you will be ready to enter into it. And once you allow for this new wheel to take effect, then I see some really good things coming through for you. And I think for some of you, it's uncomfortable because it's probably going to require a change in environment, whether it's a job or a living situation, or it's a complete change maybe in what you've been doing, because I sensed that something was growing long in the teeth there when it was time to sort of think, I need to move on to something else. But it's really nice as we look at these two. This is where you were and this is where you're headed. It's good to move from the Nine of Pentacles to the Wheel of Fortune. So you're going in the right direction, even if the cards are reversed. We just have to move through the hesitation that's intrinsic to both of those reversals, and you should be fine. So why aren't you ready, or are you ready? And once you kind of can land on those answers, then you're going to be able to call in the opportunity. And we have Apollo joining us in the background for the extended forecast. So let me take a drink here, and then we're going to focus on health, wealth, love, and destiny. Each of these is multi-part. As I look at health, it's going to be mind, body, and spirit. Really interesting card here. Okay, so I want to pull it up right, because who reads upside down? It says, distant thunder, clear the air. And if I've ever seen an indication of a tower, this to me is an avoidable tower, basically. So this is about that situation that I was seeing for some of you that is avoidable. This is in the distance. You can clear it out. You don't have to fall victim to the storm. So health, I believe this is, for some of you, there could be something going on in your body where you just feel like, I don't feel good about this anymore. So maybe the relationship isn't healthy. Maybe the job is creating too much stress. Maybe you feel an ache and a pain and you've been avoiding going to the specialist, whatever doctor you need to go to. Whatever sort of fits your situation, just act on it. Don't wait for it. I've said before that stagnation or inactivity or ignoring something invites the tower. So don't invite the tower. Clear the tower. The other thing here is by clearing the air, this is really about the communication card that we saw here, the Page of Swords in the ego. And this is about sitting at the table, negotiating, communicating. I think that if you can get what's off your chest, like out there and into the world, you'll be fine. And if somebody else comes to you with a heavy heart or heavy mind, rather than being defensive, rather than getting your feelings hurt, be appreciative that they at least had the guts to come to you. Maybe the forum wasn't right, and it's up to you to re-steer it after that. So this has to do with communication. It's health and either action or communication. So you'll have to do a little bit of an audit of your life and see, like, what am I not taking action on, or what am I not talking about? And that's where you need to go this month. To look at just some general health notes, Nine of Wands, I really want you to focus on a way to clear your head. Nine of Wands, if you ever look at a traditional card, not this really sort of geometric deck that I'm looking at, you would normally see in a Rider-Waite-Smith that they have a bandage on their forehead. And a lot of times with the Nine of Wands, you're kind of pushing your body to its limits, and it can manifest in a multitude of ways, but sometimes even just in a migraine or in insomnia, something in the head or the mind. So do what you can this month to clear your head. In addition to that, because we have so many cards about communication, maybe it's just talking to a friend or talking to a professional to clear the air, and that would really help with what we see at the center, which is like there's so much going on, I don't know what to do, etc. And that can lead to anxiety. And that's why we have the Page of Cups right on top of another Cups card. So a lot of emotional energy there. For some of you, it really is focused around work, because then we have a lot of Pentacles cards. So I feel like dealing with that is going to help out, generally speaking. Otherwise, I'm seeing some good stuff here. The balance card is what matters. So getting enough sleep, eating properly, all the stuff we talked about earlier will help you there. Nothing really bad unless you don't take action, okay? Let's move along to wealth, which is career, which is self-confidence, self-worth, etc. It's what I've been talking about the whole time here. Take the lead. And of course, it was passively reversed. So it's time for you to reclaim your power, to take the lead. And by doing that, you avoid the tower that we just saw. You actually put yourself in a position of power, the Queen of Wands energy, which we also saw here. And you're going to be fine. You're going to be able to do this. Okay. So be the Queen of Wands, take the lead. You've got this. Okay. Let me look at, again, with the other work-oriented messages, I feel like there's room for more. If we look at just the cards in their placement, we have Nine of Pentacles, and then we have Wheel of Fortune. There's a balance card right underneath it, and then some negotiation cards. So I think that for some of you, if you're trying to buy a big ticket item like a house or something like that, or if you're trying to negotiate a salary, or if you're looking at your savings, there's room to do better. So either the choices of investment or the pay that you're getting or the terms of the agreement, something needs to be reevaluated. There's room for more, which is good. I see growth potential. So do what you can to get that. Take the lead, ask questions. For love, some of you are separated or longing for love, or you might be in the same room but feel like you're miles away from that person, because we have the distant shores card here. You don't have to be separated by time and space to feel like an outsider. We've all felt this, like sometimes back when we're in school, and do you remember like when you went from like middle school to high school, friends that you were with then sat with different groups all of a sudden? There would be like someone maybe that you'd known for 10 years, but all of a sudden they were like with the football group or with the cheerleader group or with whatever. There was all these little cliques. Sometimes you could just be sitting at the table and there'd be people all around you, but you could feel alone. So we've all been there. If you're feeling that way in relationships, chances are someone else feels alone too. It may not be that person, but you could talk to somebody else. You're not alone. You're here. I care about you. People care about you here. Talk to someone and get the help that you need. Talk to that person and say, when you do this, it makes me feel like I'm alone. And I don't know what to do with that. Like, is that on purpose? Do you want to talk about something? Like, try to get it out on the table. And if you don't know how to do that, talk to someone that can give you the tools to do it. For some of you, maybe you need some time and space, right? Let's face it, if you've been spending 8 months with your partner or with your children, you might be at a point where you're like, I need a little bit of space now. And that's also healthy, because I think all good relationships need the balance between togetherness and aloneness. And so finding a way to have privacy or to have personal space and time is really, really important now. So communicate that. Figure out how to do it without hurting the feelings of the partner that you need. You could just say, I need this to feel happy. It's just part of how I am. And I think all of us have certain things that we need, whether it's, going for a walk, reading a book, playing a game, watching TV, surfing the internet, whatever it is that you need to do. Negotiate what makes you happy, what makes your partner, your family happy, and then observe those boundaries and those needs, and you'll be okay. But I feel like it's either a need for privacy, or there's been too much distance, or a feeling that someone's kind of like throwing the Six of Swords energy in there, and you feel like you're here, but you're not. If that's the case, then you've got to talk. All of this month is healed with communication, basically. And then that's what we have here, basically vocal cords here, the voice card and destiny. The way that I read the destiny card here is that it's basically your trajectory. You don't have to go down this road, but this can often show you what will bring you more success. And literally we're looking at like the vocal cords, the folds there, and look at how kind of magical they are. Your voice, the resonance, the words, the way that you speak has great power. Don't underestimate it. Even the words that you choose, because so much of what we're doing now has been virtualized. All of it's important. It's a connection. It's a download of what's going on in your head. It's amazing that we can that we can do what we're doing here on this planet. When I've connected with guides that are non-human, they don't use language. They use images, knowing. It's just like, it's an immediate download. It's like you plug a USB drive into the cosmic collective and it comes through. Language is dense, but you have an ability this month to use it in a way that isn't so dense. So do your best. I'm mindful of time, so I want to do a quick review and then I want to move along to the soul path so that we can get into the meditation and I can help you through everything. If you just joined, perfect time, because I'm going to review the messages that I channeled earlier and then quickly go through what we just talked about, and then we're going to get into the soul path. So there's been a big push this month for health and well-being. Imagine that this is a reset button that you can click, embrace it, and go for it. In particular, the heart came through. For some of you, it's going to be old karmic relationships. They might be coming back into your life. You might just be thinking about these people a lot. Fix that, heal that. It's going to help you not avoid the same thing in future relationships. And because we got relationship energy coming through in the cards, you want to make sure that that's cleared. Exercise, that actually helps move energy through your body. It helps you get rid of stuff and improve your diet. We just talked about input, output. It's really important that what you're consuming and what you're listening to, what you're watching and what you're eating or drinking, it's all good. If it's not, then you're kind of going into that garbage in, garbage out thing that I was talking about. Break old cycles this month. It's a good time to stop drinking, stop smoking, eat better, etc. Retrograde actually supports that. We have it through mid-October into the beginning of the month that I'll be reading for here, November. So it's a good time. And you still have the shadow in November, so you have the same energy available to you. This is really stepping you into a better place, setting you into a better place for an energetic upgrade. So you really have to do this now so that you will be ready for that new and better way of being in the year ahead. Be prepared and be also ready for all of the changes and challenges that might come your way. Don't avoid researching something this month if you need to, because anything that has been swept under the rug is going to find its way to the surface. So you might be in a friendly situation, then all of a sudden someone mentions something that you need to pay attention to. If it happens, don't panic. If you've watched this after it's happened, you still have some tools here. First of all, if you're in the hot seat, don't freak out. The main and most important thing that you want to do is to keep your cool, kind of like stay calm, listen, ask for extra time or ask for clarification. Maybe ask why this is the first time that you're hearing about it. Don't argue, don't get upset, empathize and say, I can understand why you're concerned. Let's figure out how we're going to deal with this. Like I said, tag that person that brought it to you and say, I'd really like you to be the person that connects with me on this, and then pick a time to talk about it again. They just need to know that they're heard and that they're appreciated, and you also want to deal with whatever it is that you need to deal with. Anything that is given this month should be done in a way that is without any strings or attachments. If it somehow doesn't feel clear and clean, either say no or ask for clarification. And just a reminder that whenever you give something, you should not care about it anymore. It's basically my gift to you if you're doing it. And if there's things in your house that you don't need, you can also get rid of that, and it opens up new things to come into your life. All right. Returning to an old office or old space, or when you get back to school, you might find that the way you felt the year or semester or the last time that you were there, it's not the same anymore. Something has changed. Well, yeah, it's you. You've changed, but the environment around you hasn't. And so you have a choice now to decide, am I going to stick around and try to move people into a new energy with me, or am I just going to move on? It's okay. I use the World War II example of, women going back to work and wanting to stay there. That was a good change. We're learning now that maybe there just weren't efficiencies in the way that we were working, and now's the time to to change things up and do something different. To that end, if you want to try something new or if you need to deal with something, there's no more snooze button. Sadly, my guides were showing me that we couldn't do that. You need to take some action now. Many of you have been hitting snooze because you're waiting for things to go back to normal. This is the new norm, something that I said maybe 6 or 8 months ago. It's still the same thing. We're going to be stuck with this for a while. So avoid romanticizing the past. It's never as good as it seems it was. And a lot of times the changes that come about because of a difficult or tumultuous period, like World War II or the Cold War, for instance, we got some great things advancing in society and technology out of those weird energies. So maybe there's going to be something amazing here. Finally, there's a contract on the table for many of you, or there's a chance to negotiate for something better. This is the time to do it. All right. Take care of yourself. That's really what we see at the bottom of this. Honestly, this card really harkens to the wolf that you would see on the moon card. There's a wolf and a dog. The wolf knows what it needs and it just does it. The dog has been trained, and we want to kind of break the training this month and go into instinct. And that's really what we see. For many of you, winter can be a time to hide, but everything comes back. So even if you can push something under the rug for a while, it's still going to come back. So that's the main message that I received from the catalyst. 7 of Cups at the center, time to make a decision. It's reversed. Page of Cups. Your decision is then going to be able to pull people in emotionally. Once you feel good about it, they're going to feel good about it. As I say that, I feel a little bit of a pain. It's actually squarely between the heart and the solar plexus. So again, connecting your decision and I would even say like the feeling like you can negotiate. You have to feel strong about it, and you have to feel strong. Like I have the power to do it and I have the passion to do it. Those two things have to be tied together. And that's what I see with these. And that's what I'm feeling in my body as I'm reading it. 9 of Wands, you've worked this hard to get it done. Why give up now? 8 of Wands, when you get that clarification, that clear point, then everything leads you to the point on the horizon here. 9 of Pentacles, independence, self-sufficiency, productivity. It's all there. It's all waiting for you. So don't be afraid to go down whatever path you're drawn to. Don't be afraid to ask questions either. The reversal of this can sometimes indicate pride or fear of letting people in. Just be discerning, just be picky, get a contract in order if you need to. Queen of Wands, you have the ability to manage anything that comes your way this month. She's upright. It's a change. I'm happy to see her upright. She's touching the beads of energy or these strings of energy, and we're going to use that in our meditation in a moment. Tune into each relationship and decide which ones are harmonious and which ones have discord, and fine-tune them. Page of Swords, use communication to your benefit. The sword's going right over his third eye and up through his crown. So your clarity of vision and connecting to your true purpose is going to be where your power is in your communication, as always, but especially as illustrated here. 2 of Cups, you can really make it work with relationships this month. There's a lot going on. Sometimes you might feel like you're catching up to stuff. The cups are in the air. They're trying to catch them, but you've got this. The way that you can make sure that you've got it is by balancing out other aspects of your life. The 2 of Coins is saying, hey, make sure that you're not overextending yourself because there's something better waiting on the horizon. And if you're not getting appreciated where you're at, either feeling the support or getting the money that you need, then it's time to move on. You're starting a new cycle as well. Thank goodness, because 2020 has been crazy. There is an avoidable tower situation on the horizon with health. It really just involves you being open, communicative, using your voice, using your words, taking action. And as we look at wealth, it's about taking the lead and saying, hey, I'd like to talk about this, or I have some questions, or I have some concerns. In love, what's going on with distance? Do you need more? Do you want less? Use your words to make it happen and take the lead in that as well. And if I haven't said it enough, use your voice, use your words, use communication. By the way, it's right by this very auspicious Wheel of Fortune card. Some of you might have something really cool that you want to share with the world. Maybe you're a singer, maybe you're a writer, maybe you're an artist and it's your artistic voice. Whatever it is, what a great time to use your ideas to capitalize on those ideas. It could also be, if you're more of an engineer, you're going to patent something and capitalize on that, or you're going to work with someone to market it. Whatever it is, communication is key. So even if it's not something that you normally feel strong about, this is a time to grow and to figure out how to make it work, because you can't afford to let this sort of window of opportunity pass you by. All right, let's go a little deeper into the soul path. I'd like to begin with the center card, the Seven of Cups in reverse, because I want to see what it is that you need to feel ready to make the decision. Because then we see, I can kind of connect that to the Wheel of Fortune. So what is it that, what's this new cycle that's coming through? Why can't you step into it? What is it that maybe is holding you back? Or what could you do to catapult you even further and faster? We have the moon, which is what we saw with the winter card here. And let's see if you can see it now, because this is a very, I have like one of the most futuristic decks here. It's kind of like, the way that I would describe the fountain deck is almost mathematical and etheric. That's why I was drawn to it. All right, so let's look at these monoliths, which is very 2001: A Space Odyssey, kind of pinning in the moon, basically. So what I feel that some of you are trying to do right now is, fear is not something that makes sense, right? So I'm looking at this and it's almost like you're trying to get a handle on fear. Fear usually comes through because you don't know enough about something or you don't trust something. So when we don't trust or value ourselves, then we let fear stop us and it becomes a block. And these things could kind of be like blocks. When we also don't know enough about something, ignorance about it, not in a bad way, but it's sort of like literally not knowing, that can also hold us back because it's the unknown. So the moon could just represent the unknown. It's also really exciting. And I like that if you haven't read or watched 2001: A Space Odyssey, it's a good book and it's a great movie. The monoliths are basically, they serve a couple of functions, but one of the key monoliths is like a wormhole. And the protagonist in the story goes into the monolith and you basically see a stargate. And it's kind of a trippy movie, and it's described better in the book than it is shown in the movie because you can only do so much in a movie. So when I see these monoliths, what I'm sort of ascribing to them is that you have a couple of portals that are opening up for you. At least one of them is coming through in the next lunar cycle. There might be two portals opening up. If you're watching this ahead of time, it could be as soon as October 31st and then the next full moon after November. So it depends when you're watching it. This is intended for November, but if you tune in live, it could happen now. There's a blue moon in October, so pay attention to that. So between that moon and the next moon after November, key events could be taking place in your life, and there might be a couple of big changes on the horizon for you. So I want you to do what the protagonist in 2001 did and just go into the portal and see what happens. He expanded his consciousness and became a star child, and that at the end of the movie, you see this little baby. It's him being reborn. It didn't make sense to audiences at the time, but I think it's a kind of genius sort of thing. So because we are constantly like that little baby. So this is your chance to birth something or be reborn or to step through a big change cycle in your life. There's fear attached to any time you go through a stargate or through a portal or through change, but it's exciting and it's going to bring you to a new horizon. Are you ready to go through the wormhole? This also kind of looks like the wormhole as you might see in, what was it called? There was a movie a couple years ago where I'll think of it in a second. But basically you have a big shift coming through Interstellar. There's a big shift coming through. A true wormhole is actually kind of like a bubble. So the moon itself could actually represent that change, that shift. So just have to go into the emotional aspect of it and think, what is it that's holding me back? Why won't I do this? And if you can't answer it at a certain point, taking a leap of faith is what's necessary. All right, we have the Magician here in the center. The Magician's reversed, so as we're looking at what can help you right here and right now, especially with respect to clearing your head and taking action, it's just about focusing. Anything is possible with the Magician. The lack of focus or the lack of intention makes a more weak, I would say, or a weaker magician. So the more you're clear on what you're trying to manifest, the more powerful you are at doing so. The Magician is a reminder that you can do this. You have all the requisite skills. So if there was a fear of, am I good enough? Don't be afraid of that. Yes, you're good enough. All that's important is knowing what you're trying to do or be or create, because the magician is the beginning of that cycle, and he's great at the beginning of manifestation. All right, let's just see what you need to do here. I'm looking here. Okay, communication. Let's look at what the message is, because there was so much about or around communication. We have the star card, which is I say it all the time. It's my favorite card. And we just talked about like a star child, a stargate, and all these different wormholes. So this is it. Notice how on this particular card, it's almost as if you're reaching up and riding one of those energetic beams of light. So imagine that when you finally step into your power, that it's going to be easy, that you're going to be held up by that energy, by that force. Notice also that you're being called to be a being of light right now in a time when there's not a lot of that. The card was reversed. So many of you have been muting your light or haven't been allowed to shine. The time now is kind of presenting itself for you to be more authentic, to be more integrated, and to really step into your power. If you don't, those windows that we're seeing in the moon card could pass you by. And I was thinking of this even with my own current, like where I'm at right now. If I hadn't quit my job almost 6 years ago at this point, it would have been so hard to start what I'm doing right now. And so I'm glad that I kind of just took a risk when I did it. And I'm glad that I'm here for you, and I'm glad I'm where I'm at. It wasn't easy. It's a lot of work, but I'm happy to be more authentic and where I want to be. So know that you don't know how long it might take you for that path, but it's always worth going into the star energy. So if you're blessed enough to know what you want to do, why aren't you doing it? It's a rhetorical question. Meditate on it. And then if you can't answer it, then start to put an action plan into place and circle a date on the calendar and start that new journey for yourself. That's what I did. I eventually thought, this is the date that I quit. I have enough money. I have no reason to stay. I need to leave. And I had saved up enough to start the business, and I just knew that I was making excuses at that point. So whatever it is for you, if you need to find something, then start to do the research to find that opening, so you can make it happen. All right, one more time, I just want to look at these cards, which were all reversed, which should be all upright because they're strong cards. This is instinct. You have good instinct. Listen to it. This is power to create. You can create. If you're not creating, is it because others are afraid of what you might create? Is there something else holding you back? Are you editing yourself too much? Look what happens when you do create. Cool stuff. So I want you to be in that power of creation. These are three very strong, very auspicious cards. When reversed, you're holding back. Why are you holding back? All right, we're going to cut some cords here in the meditation and hopefully free you from some of the things that are maybe giving you the sense of I need to hold back or I need to edit myself, so that you can truly step into your power and be strong, resplendent, and all of that jazz. All right, before I get into the meditation, I'd love for you to like and subscribe if you haven't. I know people say it all the time, but it actually legitimately helps the channel in search, and it doesn't cost anything, and I appreciate it. So thank you. Get yourself in a comfortably seated position, and we'll get started here on this. As I'm looking at this, I kind of want to do, yeah, okay, we're going to work with the Queen of Wands energy first and foremost. So we're going to be working with star, but like the sun. We'll be working with sun energy because it's bright and it's brilliant. We're going to work with ribbons of light. So see yourself perhaps sitting on a hill looking at the sun. Actually, we're going to intensify this a little bit. I want you to imagine that you're on the moon. Because we're going to do an astral projection, you don't have to worry about breathing. It's just your spirit on the moon. This way we can involve the sun and the moon, and we're not stuck with being too grounded and too practical on this plane of existence, because that practicality is overrated sometimes, and it doesn't allow us to be our true selves. So see yourself on the moon, looking at the earth, looking at the sun, and really now being able to feel the rays and the energy of the sun. And just to pull this card up for a second, imagine that the beads of energy or the strings of energy are so intense that you could almost touch them and feel like you could hear how they resonate. All right, so close your eyes. Take a deep breath in, pull the energy of the sun through your heart, through your solar plexus. Allow that energy to light you up, to connect you to your higher self. Exhale. Ground yourself here on this lunar surface. And as you're on the moon here, you're again astrally projecting from your present location, so there's no fear of breathing. But you can feel and see things when you astrally project. So as you're doing that, I want you to really feel this sense I'm also protected here. You're on another rocky sort of planetoid here. It's a moon. And as you're on this satellite looking at the sun, I want you to use the sun as a lens to see people in your life. Imagine that it's the clearest possible lens and you can perceive their energy through the solar energy that's being shown at your eyes, at your body, and in your third eye. And as you're looking through the lens of the sun, I want you to kind of do an audit of everyone in your life. And imagine that you could see the cord that connects you to them. And the sun is this kind of, this lens. That's the best way that I can describe it. I want you to touch the cord that you are connecting to this person, whether it's your mom or it's your boss or it's your lover or it's a sibling or it's a best friend, whomever is in your, even an adversary, someone that is annoying you. I want you to feel the energetic thread and imagine that you could touch it for a second and hear their frequency. Just like we could see the auric field, imagine that you could hear their energetic frequency, because everything in the universe, the sun, the earth, the moon, Jupiter, they actually have a vibrational energy. You can hear it on a kind of like a radio telescope. So you're listening to this person's frequency and you're thinking, do I resonate with their frequency? Are they in the same frequency as me? If they aren't, see if you can clean the connection a little bit. Is it something you're holding on to? Is it something they're holding on to? Clear it a little bit, listen again. And if you don't feel like it's in resonance with you, gently sort of just twist it, or you can imagine cutting it, or you could just pull it once and play it to the point that it vibrates itself into oblivion. However you want to cut the cord, I want you to do that. And imagine that you can continue to do that as I play the singing bowl for each and every person. And in the process, we're going to raise your frequency, just like the singing bowl, to something high, radiant, and bright. As you do this, I want you to see your etheric energy start to amplify into the brightest possible space so that you are going to be shining just like the star here. And maybe you are kind of like this, you're riding one of the beams of light. We'll do that eventually to get back to our body on Earth. But for now, focus on fine-tuning your sound and any of the energetic connections that you have with others in your life. Take a moment now. I want you to pay special attention to your heart, something that we talked about when I was channeling messages earlier. I want you to do a little bit of energetic repair work on your heart. Imagine that you could go in there and also fine tune it. What does it sound like? Maybe you want to imagine that you're winding it up and it's a music box, or maybe you want to kind of take these energetic chords out as well. I want you to work with your heartstrings and tune them to the point that they feel bright and light and open. And you see these beautiful beads of green energy shooting out of your heart chakra, showing that you are loving yourself, you're ready for love, you're working your passion, you are feeling comfortable and happy in your skin. And as you do this, know that you are going to shine your highest intensity, and your truest, most integrated self is going to come through. One last breath as you start to honor this new version of yourself. And then imagine that you could shoot a beam back down to your body on earth, ride that energetic beam straight into your heart space, and re-enter your body through the heart, feeling that with each subsequent breath, you're pulling in the lessons learned, that the relationships are now healed, and that you are in your highest resonance and you're ready for all of the opportunities, not just in November, but the last couple months of the year. Take one last deep breath. Rub your hands together, feeling the warmth and energy that you always have within your mind, body, and spirit. Place the left hand on your heart, your right on top of that, and seal the intention that we just made, sealing also that heart chakra to protect it. But see the light that you've created continuing to shine, not just now, but for days, weeks, and months after this meditation. And gently open your eyes on the next exhale, and welcome back, everybody. Good to see you. Thank you for letting me facilitate that magical meditation. I want to take a moment to thank everybody here for joining me. I want to go also through just some ways to stay in contact with me, etc. First and foremost, if you feel like you want to give back, you can still do that while I'm talking. There's this little button here for just giving something with Super Chat. If you happen to watch this on replay, which I know a lot of you will do, usually the first reading that I do each month is lower attendance. There's an applaud button, and it has the same functionality as Super Chat. So if on a later viewing you want to give through that, you can. It's a little heart, and you can click on that, and it's by the thumb up, thumbs down button. Otherwise, I'd love you to join me on social media. And let me just give you my website, because that's a really easy way to see all of this information if you're in doubt. It's nicholasashbaugh.com. And if you can't spell my name or forget how to get there, you can just click on the About tab on YouTube on my profile page, and all the links that I'm going to put here will be on that. So feel free, please, to join me on Facebook and Instagram especially, and of course on YouTube if you haven't already. What are you waiting for? Come on, guys. Click like and subscribe. But on the other ones, it's great because I will use stories to remind you of upcoming videos, and you can actually just swipe up and it takes you straight to the video on the day of, which is good because if you're like me, it's hard to remember what day of the week is what right now because of our how we're working and how time seems to be slipping by. So I do it for you and I do it for me, but on Facebook and on Instagram, I will put reminders there. I use stories also on YouTube. I also use the community tab, and on all three of these, I will post a picture of all the notes that I channeled at the beginning. So takes me until the end of the day because there's a lot to do, but I usually by the end of the day, you can go on any of those sites and you can see it. Same thing on my website, it'll be posted there. You can join me on TikTok, also on Patreon. My username on everything is @NicholasAshbaugh, no spaces, nothing before, nothing after. If you're following something else, it's not me. On Patreon, it's another way to give back, just like the members here, on a monthly basis if you'd like to, or on an annual basis. They have a couple of options. Just a reminder, I never directly message people. I know that's happened in the past. That doesn't happen. You're only going to get to me through a video or through a public post. So if there's anyone else doing that, it's probably not me. Feel free to follow me on Twitter. It's the only one that's different. It's @Ashbaugh. And if you'd like to use PayPal instead to send some love, you can do it through PayPal, paypal.me/NicholasAshbaugh. If in doubt, just go to my website and you can click on the patron link and it'll all be there. If you'd like to join the channel, you can just click the join button here. You can start and stop at any point. And again, like and subscribe if you haven't already. And that's that. Thank you guys so much for being a great way to kick off every month. I appreciate your kindness, your love, your energy. And it feels like there's some really magical opportunities in store for you in November. And I see with that moon card, at least a couple of portals of opportunity as well. Maybe one opening up in November, maybe one after the turn of the new year. But either way, be prepared, be open, be ready. And I just want to say thanks for taking the time with me this morning to just kind of like work on yourselves. That's why I show up every month. It means a lot. I see Ryan joined us here as well. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Maria, for your assistance. And thanks, everybody, for showing up. Much love and light. I'll be back again tomorrow. It's Sunday today, be Monday tomorrow. I'll be working on Taurus tomorrow. And the full schedule is now up on my website with all the links to all of the readings that are coming through. All right, everyone, be well, and I'll see you soon. And thanks again for showing up. Lots of love and light.